Hey everyone, Waterbot here, and welcome to Wingspan. It is it's actually a really good, tabletop board game. A real physical one that they turned into a digital board game. And so my brother, Shell, and I decided to play it at my brother's request, because he got really into it recently, and he wanted more people to play with, and honestly, I don't play enough board games, and so having digital ones like this is actually really nice, because this way I can actually record it and share it with you all. So, hope you enjoy. We did do the tutorial, so this one's kind of going to be a learning experience for us. But I guarantee we'll know what we're doing for episode 2.
Wait, who's the extremely buff goose?
I am.
That's Wander. I'm trying to imagine what a muscular version of a bird looks like. I mean, they must vary, right?
Let's find out if we're all in.
I mean, I'm in. It says round 1 of 4, 8 turns left.
Great.
Okay.
Yes. So should I tell you some things about what you're trying to do in the game?
On your turn, you will take one of 4 actions. Play a bird card from your hand, gain food and activate forest bird powers, lay eggs and activate grassland bird powers, and draw bird cards and activate wetland birds.
I think it might actually be bugged out on my end, though I could be wrong. You guys are both mystery portraits.
That happens occasionally. I think we're all in, though, and it looks like it's waiting for Shell to choose cards, right?
Looks like it. So it looks like I have... Okay, I have a number of cards.
I think, you've got 5 cards you can pick from, but you want to pick a combination of bird cards and food. I unfortunately can't see which cards you're picking, so I don't know which ones to tell you are good or not good.
What I'm seeing here is that there are grains, rodents, grubs, fish, and berries.
That's right. There are 5 different food types, and you can see in the upper left-hand corner for the birds, it says what food it requires to play those birds as well. So you'll probably want to pick 2 to 3 birds and the food necessary to play those birds as well. So I like picking birds that don't cost very much food in the early plays, and I want to get ones that go in either the forest or the wetland. So the forest is going to be a green diamond, and the wetland is going to be a blue diamond. And the grasslands is important, but I don't usually try to put birds there immediately unless they're really good birds.
Now, another thing too is there's some there. It looks like for resources there are some that are wheels with all 5 colors. And would that be an instance where you can choose, say, a grub, a berry, and whatever else the bird requires, and it can just eat anything?
It can, yes. So those are omnivore birds, I guess. You can pay any food for that. That one of those wheels is just one food. Important point is you can actually pay 2 of any kind of food in order to pay for it if you have the wrong food type. So if it only requires 1 grub, you can pay a berry and like a grain in order to play that grub. And so the reason to play birds, there's like a feather and a number also in the upper left corner. Those give you points. So you get a lot of points from playing out birds. It's whoever has the highest points at the end of the game wins.
Now, the birds also have a certain number of eggs beneath them.
Yep. So you also get 1 point per egg at the end of the game too. But you have to fill those egg slots before the end of the game in order to get the points for those eggs. So typically you'll want to play birds. You'll want to play a lot of birds for the points, but you'll also want to make sure that enough of them have egg slots so that you can lay lots of eggs in the game as well.
I also noticed that there's beneath the feathers, there's like on the ground eggs, bull eggs. Wait, no. Like
so
nest
there are different nest types. So if you look in the upper right-hand corner, there are 4 different end-of-round goals, and those will quantify a particular thing about the birds or the number of eggs on those birds that you've played. So going from left to right, the first goal on that left in the upper right-hand corner is saying there's a bowl next to a bird, and then it says with egg. So that's saying whoever at the end of the first round has the most birds with that particular nest type that have at least 1 egg in them gets it'll be a rank 1, 2, 3 for each of these, gets that many points.
Okay. Now when it comes to between turns, when activated, when played. When activated, can that be used once per turn?
Yeah,
or
so
something?
an important thing about this game is that each of the zones come with an activation. So on your turn, every turn, you'll do one of 4 things. The first one is play a bird, or you can activate one of the 3 zones.
So there's the forest, the grasslands, and the wetlands.
Yep. And each of those zones give you a resource. The forest, you can get food. The grassland gives you eggs, and the wetland gives you more cards. I think we can get into the forest and grassland and wetland mechanics once
we start playing birds.
Yeah. I mean, I think the important one is the forest giving you food, but you don't get all choices of food necessarily. There's up to 5 dice that are in there, and you get to pick some number of those dice, and the number of dice you get increases with the number of birds. And for the grassland, you get more eggs if you have more birds in the grassland, and for the wetland, more cards if you have more birds in the wetland.
Okay.
So if you see things that say like when activated, draw an additional card, or when activated, you get an additional egg on one of your birds, or when activated, get food, those are really good to get early, actually. So things that give you the resources on the activations are more important than getting the early points.
Yeah, I think I'm in the process of choosing between 3 birds.
Well,
so
if all 3 look good, I think 3 is pretty
round.
good.
Huh?
Yeah, so just for clear on this, I'm probably going to play birds that give both of you stuff instead of trying to be competitive about this. So
yeah, so
don't feel like you're trying to win.
Yeah, just pick
if
whatever
3 look
you
good,
think works.
Take all 3, and then get food for 2 of them.
I can take all 3 or choose?
Yeah, so you get a set of 5 things, right? So that could be food or cards. So if 3 of the birds look good, I'll tell you the birds in the open deck to draw don't look that good. They're okay. So if you think you've got 3 good birds, I would just go for those.
Okay, so how do I choose them?
Just click on them.
Okay.
You'll highlight them, and then click food for get 2 food.
I
2 of
can
them.
choose food. All right. Yep. So I will choose one of these, and which one do I want, actually? Maybe this one.
As presumably, Wander, you're just looking at the open screen. So if I were you, I would take a look at what the draw birds cards are in the wetland, what's face up there. I'd also look at the forest and see what sort of food is available to draw first as well. Because if you like look at the forest and you're like, okay, I'll plan on playing this bird, but I'll need to draw grain, then you're a little bit out of luck for the first couple turns to get grain. So you'd want to make sure you pick up that grain. Whereas there's a lot of bugs that are in the forest right now. So probably you could get one of those bugs if you needed to draw food in order to play a bird based off those.
Okay, so I chose my bonus bird card, or whatever the bonus card was. And then it's saying gain food from the bird feeder. Then brown powers in this habitat will activate.
Yep, so that's just telling you what'll happen whenever you activate the forest. So the forest gives you food, and then any of the once per turn powers are also going to happen too.
Now it looks like I can hover over my cards. Can I play any of them now, or do I roll?
You'll have to wait until it's your turn. Currently, I'm choosing, just in the way that you were just choosing.
Okay. Yeah, there's just like a little thing where it's like, there's the bird feeder, and here are your birds. Okay.
Now to go to Wander. Yeah, so one of the things I'll say is that having an even number of birds tends to be good for getting those resources. So if you're looking at, say, the forest for the moment, Shell, if you don't have any birds, you can get 1 food per turn off the activation. If you have 1 bird already there, you get the one that's to the right. So that's second to the, or you get the second to the from the leftmost one, which is 1 bird, 1 food, and then you can trade a bird card to get an additional food. So that's situationally okay, but usually you'd rather have 2 birds so you could just get the 2 food. So even numbers of birds in zones tends to be something to shoot for.
It's interesting how both of you guys chose the odd little house in the autumnal wood.
Oh yeah.
As
I used to
opposed
have there was like a Halloween themed one that disappeared. So I used to have that one.
Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. We'll figure it out. Choose a bonus card.
So the bonus cards has some requirement you want to meet by the end of the game. And
I see.
yeah. So sometimes I'll choose birds based off that, but I'll tell you, you're hoping to end the game with somewhere between like 80 to 100 points oftentimes. So if bonus card's worth 8, that's going to be like less than 10% of your total points.
Okay. So, I know you just explained it, but just to refresh, so I have a bird. It's got a cost in the top left, presumably. Yep. So to play a bird, I have to have those 3 resources.
So you have to pay those specific ones, or you can pay 2 of the other food types to replace one that you don't have.
Got it. And the
which is painful. You don't want to do that.
Yeah. And the gain food from bird feeder, is that just kind of a free open resource, or are we all in open competition for that?
We are all, so we all see the same bird feeder, which is in some respects good because you want that thing to cycle, and the game is actually harder the fewer the players are, because it doesn't cycle as much.
It's prompting me to either roll a dice or play a... Wait, no, I have to play a card, don't I?
So you have 4 choices, which are to activate one of the 3 zones or play a bird. I'll tell you, if you can, you want to play the birds generally. And if you can't, you want to get the resources necessary to play a bird.
Okay, I think I'm going to play a bird then. Let's see how this one goes. Okay, so it looks like I pay?
Yeah, you can switch around which food you pay for it. It usually does a pretty good job that if it has specific required ones. But if it's an omnivore, then you might
I can't
want to
summon
do
2
something.
birds, right?
No, you only get to play 1 bird per turn. There are a
so...
couple birds that let you play 2 in 1 turn, but you have to play the first one, which has a power that says when played, play another bird in this habitat.
Okay, so I have a red-breasted nuthatch. Or do you guys not see that?
We can go over and look at it. Yeah.
All right.
How do we see that? Oh,
you go
so
over
if you
to
click
my
on the portrait.
field.
Okay.
Okay, so I have my nuthatch. Now, do I gain food from the bird feeder?
So, if you're going to need food to play your next bird, then you can gain food. But, if you have another 1-cost bird, maybe you don't need to gain food from the bird feeder yet. You can just play another bird.
Where do I see how much food I have? Oh, right over there
on the right.
bar, far the right.
Yep. Just a couple other things on the right there. It also shows you how many eggs you have out of how many slots. And the thing above it is how many turns are left in this round. So currently you should see 7 turns left in this round.
And how do you acquire eggs?
So you acquire eggs when you activate the grassland. And you'll see that even without having any birds there, you get 2 eggs from activating the grassland. Which overall makes the eggs a slightly less valuable resource in a early sense, because you can get them in a slightly higher rate than the cards in the food. So sometimes trading specifically eggs for cards, I find is a reasonable strategy.
Did you guys already play your turns?
Yep.
Yes.
This is so weird because I didn't even get to see what you guys did. It's
you
not
have
really
to click on us to see
turn-based.
This game is not strictly competitive in terms of really seeing what other players do.
I wouldn't spend too much time agonizing over what we're doing unless you're trying to hit a specific end of round goal and you're really worried about whether or not we're going to hit it too.
Because I didn't even know what steps. I don't know. Did I skip a bunch of steps?
We've all had 1 turn. I'm not sure what you'd be worried about at the moment.
Oh, so playing the card in itself was just 1 turn.
It is, yeah. And that's why
that's
why it's advantageous to have the cards that let you play 2 birds, is that essentially you get 1 extra turn in the game. But those birds tend to cost a little bit more and give you slightly fewer points for what they do.
So to play another forest bird, would I have to have an egg?
Yeah, so that was something I was meaning to get to, is that the second bird you want to play in a zone will cost an additional cost of an egg. And once you get up to the fourth bird in the zone, it'll be 2 eggs.
Okay.
How do you activate a bird's ability?
It activates when you activate the zone, if it's one of the brown powers. That's why all the zones say, like, draw bird cards, then brown powers in this habitat will activate. So just when you get food while you have a bird in the forest, it'll activate its power, which is good. Having that nuthatch out early, you can often get like 9 to 10 points from the nuthatch, just kind of as an expectation for that.
So when the meter at the bottom with the nuthatch fills up, is that when it lays an egg?
No. I've actually made it lay 2 eggs. I don't really know what that does, but
so getting the eggs out will let you play another bird in the forest, because you'll have to pay one of the eggs to play a second bird in the zone. So it'll be helpful if you want to get, your food engine running. Having the nuthatch plus another bird in there you'll start getting 2 food instead of 1, which will be helpful for playing more birds. Probably at that point you start to be card limited, so you look at getting stuff in your wetlands.
So I only get to choose 1 food from the bird feeder?
Yeah, unless you wanted to trade a card. Unfortunately, your red-bellied woodpecker won't be useful until there are actually grain in the bird feeder. So I'll tell you, one of the things that'll happen is
so I never got to choose a food from the bird feeder, or is that one of the actions?
You have to activate the forest to get to choose food from the bird feeder, and you activated the grassland.
Okay. That makes sense.
So what Wander's currently looking at is activating the forest, which will give him a food, but then he has a power that'll only activate
if there's grain. Good to know.
So we get to re-roll the bird feeder as soon as we only see one type of symbol in the bird feeder. So if there's only bugs or only mice or only fish, then we get to re-roll all the dice. So instead of picking bugs, if we had all instead just picked the fish and the mice, then we would have seen the ability to re-roll the bird feeder as soon as there were 3 bugs in the bird feeder. So sometimes, I think example in Wander's case, if there was only 1 food left, but no grain, you might tactically choose to pick the thing that lets you to re-roll it so that you can hope to get grain for your woodpecker.
Looks like I chose a bird, a food, I suppose. Gain 1 grain from the supply cache on this card.
Yeah, that just gives you points. And that's why that one's good to have out early, is you can get a lot of points from them.
Wait, I'm trying to click the yes button, but it's not doing anything. Or do I have to activate it?
Gain 1 food from the supply. Once the check mark is clicked, you should click the arrow to the right of it.
Okay.
You pretty much never want to say no to that one. I think actually you never want to say no to that one, but the game logic doesn't make that decision for you, I guess.
All right.
I might have to play this a couple of times solo just to really get the... How does it perform solo?
Pretty well, actually.
Okay.
So you got 2 options for solo. It has a solo for the board game version where you play against the automata, which is just like kind of a random number generator coupled with an algorithm to like make certain like actions. The automata can be pretty hard to beat on the hard mode, actually. But it also just has like actual computer players to just simulate human behavior, because the automata doesn't play like a human does. It just like is performing random actions, whereas the computer players at least ostensibly have some intelligence that they choose.
Speaking of, we should also play the digital version of Terraforming Mars at some point. It's a lot faster.
Sure. I could appreciate that. My girlfriend and I played a game of it recently, and it took like 2 hours or something. We were both just so tired by the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it was like a 1 hour game or even less than that, it certainly would be a lot more fun, I think. Right, because a lot of the time you spend like accounting things and
Yeah, and having the game do the math for you is super nice.
yeah.
There's actually a number of board games that are starting to have really good digital versions. Like, I really wanted to pick up Root, the board game, and they just came out with a digital version that looks just as good, if not better.
Root.
Yeah, it's like a... Gosh, I don't even know how to describe it. I've never played it, which is part of it. What is our hand limit, by the way?
There is none. I will warn you, though, the implementation for this game does a pretty good job when your hand is small, like less than 10 cards. But over 10 cards, it's become very annoying to try and look through the birds you have. That said, you almost never want to have that many birds. Like, you've kind of played suboptimally if you have that many birds in your hand at the end of the game.
So
Although there is one goal that gives you points for having over a certain amount. It's like, I think 7. It's not more than that.
So the only benefit to draw... So the only birds that are available are the 3 currently in the
So
wetlands.
you can draw off the deck.
Ah.
Yeah, so you might want to do that. That's certainly a thing.
Okay, so only get 1 card?
If you have no birds in the wetland, yes.
Okay, cool.
Okay, interesting.
And now I understand how many eggs one of these birds can have. So the American coot is an absolute baby machine compared to everything else.
Click on birds to lay eggs. Tweet?
Does the Kurt have like 6 slots?
The coot's got 5. Not quite 6, but you know, I'm looking at the American bittern and it's like 2.
Yeah, the max is 6. I will say it's hard to get over 30 eggs in a game unless you have like a really heavy egg generating engine. Which is a thing. That's real.
I know it's a thing.
Now, because I have a bird with a nest type, that's aiming towards that first goal?
Oh, how do we re-roll the food thing, by the way?
If you activate the bird feeder, you can re-roll it. I will tell you, once you re-roll it, you're locked into taking food already. So
okay.
You may not get what you want. Yeah, so Shell, if you click the goals in the upper right, you get to see where everyone's progress is on that.
Oh, do we all share the same bird feeder? Because suddenly there's all this stuff.
Yep, we all share the same bird feeder. I see that Wander has once again been bereft of grain.
I am mad. I was really hoping for 1 grain.
Yeah, it is pretty poor luck. Actually, something we haven't seen yet is that, so these dice, there's only 5 food, you'll notice.
Yeah.
But they're 6-sided dice. And unlike computers, reality does need to constrain itself to actually rolling 6-sided dice if they're going to be that shape. So one of the shapes is, the 6th side is a bug/grain side. So your chance of having the option of a bug or a grain for each roll of the dice should be 1/3. So it's really quite improbable for it to have rolled no grain twice.
Okay, so now my nuthatch has 2 cached foods. How can I use the cached food?
There's no limit on how much you can cache, but you can't use it. It's just points.
Oh, they're points?
Yes, that's what the cached food is.
Huh. Interesting. Oh, wow. Look at all that. There's a lot of grain, but then there's also grain grubs.
It's got the doubles, yeah.
Okay. So how do I card?
How do you what?
Ah, there we go.
Is that get cards or play cards when you say how do I card?
I was trying to decide if it was worth it. Okay. Wait, what? What have I done? Oh. Do I have to discard a card? Oh, here we go. That's how I undo. So I was trying to figure out how to discard a card if I wanted to.
To get food?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the game only locks. The game does a good job of not locking you into a decision until you've done something like re-rolled the bird feeder or drawn off the top of the deck. But a lot of other things, like it'll let you undo quite a number of steps.
So can you play certain birds in different environments then? Because I have 2 forest birds, but I could have probably put them in the grasslands or the wetlands if they have the 2 other markers.
Yeah, the eastern kingbird could have gone in any, but the red-breasted nuthatch could only go in the forest.
Only be forest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this is something you'll see is that some birds cost a little bit less food or give a little bit more points, but can only play it in one zone. So it tries to balance that by making a bird that can go in all 3 zones a little bit weaker in comparison.
Okay, interesting. I'm thinking I might want more food, but probably not the food that's present there, or I'd need more birds. But not the birds that are shown in the draw card.
The food that's present there, you can re-roll. There's only 1 die, so all the dice are the same, just 1. So you get to re-roll it, and once you re-roll it, you'll be locked into taking food. So if there's a very specific thing you're looking for, like mice or fish or berries are more rare, you might not see them.
Okay. So I have to expend an egg, though, to roll for food, right?
No, you have to spend an egg to play another bird there. That's what that egg at the top says. But rolling, that doesn't cost eggs.
Do I just click on the bird feeder?
You click on where the 2 dice are, to the right of your eastern kingbird.
Oh, these 2 dice.
Yeah, so once you activate it, it'll give you the option to re-roll.
Okay, re-roll? Oh, look at that. Look at all those mice.
It doesn't update until a little bit later, so I wasn't sure what you're looking at. Yes, talking about improbable rolls is there are a lot of mice there. Thankfully.
Should I take 2 mice, or do I just want... I don't know.
Otherwise, you could take 1 bug, 1 mice, and then leave it so the mice get re-rolled next time.
So you could even take 1 bug and then re-roll it again, actually.
Oh.
The thing is, the bird that I want to summon doesn't care, so...
Yeah, so it depends on whether or not you feel generous of... I don't know. Do you think that we need that bug? Probably you can't stop us from taking the bug and re-rolling it. Even if you take the bug, then we can just re-roll it. So it's mostly...
Or I could take a second mouse, or I could... Yeah, I don't know.
If it doesn't matter to your bird, I wouldn't agonize over these decisions. I think if it was a one-on-one game, there's potentially some things that would be important to try and do. In a 3-player game, yeah, I don't find that sweating it too much helps me very much in those particular situations.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think that was my turn.
Yep. This will go smoother once you and I are up to speed.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm still explaining the rules. Honestly, so far we've spent less time than it would have taken for you to go through the tutorial. So
Yep.
it depends on whether or not you're feeling caught up or not yet. Yeah, in terms of overall strategy for this game, I think most of the strongest strategies tend to revolve around playing lots of birds that generate you lots of eggs in the grassland. The expansion corrects this slightly. It said maybe the grassland was a little bit too powerful, but for the moment, we're playing with the grassland probably being the strongest mechanic available.
Now, depending on which area you put your birds into, I noticed that when you put a bird down, it progresses from left to right. Does that mean that, for instance, if I were to go to the wetlands, it would allow me to get an egg for a card, whereas if I have if I have 2 in there, I would choose 2 cards?
Yeah,
Or
so
right.
the more birds you've dumped into an area, the better the effect will be.
Yep.
So I wonder which area I want then.
Well, now that you've got 2 in the forest, I think
I probably
for the
should do a wetlands or... Yeah.
I mean, I think grassland is good. So if you have good grassland birds, you go for it. But I think early the forest and the wetland are the important ones.
Okay, I think I'll go raven. Common raven. Discard 1 egg from any of your other birds to gain 2 resources from the supply.
I will say that one's really good in the grasslands, actually. So wetland is good.
Should I undo it?
I mean, I'd consider it and put it over in the grasslands.
How do I change?
I think you can just hit back a number of times if you haven't paid
back?
For the. It's
back.
Bottom left corner.
Okay, why is it better in the grasslands?
Because it consumes eggs.
Oh.
So you'll often, instead of rolling for food, you'll just
use
lay eggs and get food from that instead.
Okay. So
I mean, I think it's okay in the wetlands. I think it would do all right in the wetlands too. But I think grasslands is the traditional place to play a raven. There are very few birds I would make a big deal out of that for. But I think if you have like a Franklin skull or a killdeer or a raven, grasslands.
Okay.
Crows as well. They're not quite as strong though.
Okay, so I have my raven down. My nuthatch just keeps getting more stuff. I've had a nuthatch land in my hand. They're funny.
What specifically did you do to do that? Did you put food in it, or did the nuthatch just do it?
Where Carl and I had gotten engaged up at Mendon Ponds Park, there is a trail called the Birdsong Trail. And if you bring enough seed with you, you just raise your hand in the air and they will come down and feed directly from your hands. I think it's just people have done it for decades. So you typically get chickadees, nuthatches, titmices, and the cardinals want to. They want to get that seed, but they very rarely. I've never seen one actually land in someone's hand. The cardinals will just try to pick up seed off the ground when it spills from a child's hand or something.
Huh.
My mom got a blue jay at one point, but she scared it off because she was so frightened by its size. I was like, oh, I've always wanted to get a blue jay, but oh well.
Huh.
So they're really cute, but I was surprised at the nuthatch because it was a little bit larger than the chickadees and the titmices that I've been able to get before.
Yeah.
Carl actually has pictures of that one. My eyes are really wide because it's like, oh, this is a different bird.
It is fun that the game actually tells you the wingspan of the various birds. That's what that number in centimeters
the
is.
centimeters?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I gain a grub from the supply.
Yeah, someone wants to play the bird in the forest.
Someone played a bird in the forest. Oh, look at my points. Woohoo.
How do you even know where your point total is?
So if you click in the upper right-hand corner, you can see where your points are, as well as your progress on all of the various end-of-round goals.
Yeah, so I had gotten one of the end-of-round goals, which was to have an egg on a bird with it was like a bull nest. It looked like a bull.
Yep.
And then my nuthatch had obviously been collecting stuff. Oh, and eggs and stuff. Oh, but I still get to do something this turn, maybe? Or is my turn over with?
All right. And the turn order changes each round, too.
Ah.
Oh, look at that. There's a prairie chicken, but it looks like a grouse. The gray catbird. The northern flicker.
So do we only get 4 rounds?
That's right.
Okay.
And you get a smaller number of turns each round as well.
Makes sense.
Oh, so the next goal is to have a certain number of eggs in the grasslands.
Yep. Yeah, and that's actually a specific point where having a bird with a lot of egg slots can be really
Right.
helpful.
Did someone take the woodpeckery thing that I was eyeing? Maybe
Was it the
someone
northern
did.
flicker?
Maybe.
I did take a northern flicker.
Yeah, because I need to draw new birds at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for you already have a good number of birds that are in the forest, and you already have some good food engines. I would say that gray catbird is something you would want to have, Shell. You put that in the grassland with your raven, and suddenly you're getting 4 food per turn off of that. That's really strong.
Interesting. It doesn't necessarily help with my overall goal card, but
I think your overall goal card is a pretty small consideration, so I wouldn't try and think of every bird in terms of that one. So something you can get is you'll notice 2 of the birds say draw 2 bonus cards and keep 1. Those bonus cards are new goal cards. So you could also pick up the prairie chicken and the painted bunting, and then you'd have 3 goal cards instead of just 1. That's where they really start to count. I've had some pretty good games where I've gotten 3 or 4 goal cards and they were all nest related. So then I could focus on the star nests, which count for any of them. So if it's I have a belted kingfisher if you want an example of it, but some of them have stars that make them count for all the types of nests for the various goals.
So what you were saying with the gray catbird, which is such a weird name, catbird,
Catbird.
is that if I were to activate it, then my raven could, do the discard 1 egg to get 2 resources.
And you can double it. Yep.
Yeah, so you'd be getting 4 resources at the cost of 2 eggs.
I mean, basically, ravens are really strong, and the catbird just gets to be a raven if you already have one. So
yeah,
it's, it's not
I'll
critical
choose it.
because you've already got a raven, you get a lot of food off of that. But if the next thing you do is get a bird that helps you make eggs as well, then you get to choose between eggs or a raven. It can be pretty strong. Some bad luck.
What's bad luck?
I just
doing food.
I have this northern flicker which lets me gain all bugs in the bird feeder, so I re-rolled just so I could have a better chance at that.
Get bugs, right?
And it just it just got no bugs.
Well,
Oh, that's interesting. The turn order switched.
It does switch, and the reason for that is because there's an advantage to whoever starts the round because you get the first pick of the 3 open birds. So it's generally good in my experience to start. In some cases, it can be good to end because then you get to choose your last action based off what other people did for their goal. So if the end of round goal is, say, lay eggs in the grassland, I could see whether or not I'm winning or not by the last round to decide whether or not I needed 1 more lay eggs in the grassland.
Okay, so how do I activate my raven's ability?
you
When
just
you
do the lay
activate-
eggs.
Yeah, when you lay eggs, it'll activate the raven. Make sure you have eggs before doing it too, but it looks
Well,
like,
it says
I guess
discard-
you lay eggs, so it's not even a problem. Yeah.
Well, it says discard 1 from any of your other birds to gain 2 from the supply. So do I click
Yeah.
on the egg?
So once you've activated the grasslands,
Yeah,
and
just do it, Shell.
laid
It's
eggs.
self-explanatory.
once you've activated the grassland and laid eggs, it'll then give you the option to discard an egg, where at that point you'd click on an egg for a bird.
So I have to lay eggs first, even
do
though I
have
already
to lay
have
eggs.
eggs.
Yes, you can't use it unless you're activating that zone. Which is an important thing, actually, because one of the strategies in this game is that if you can avoid needing to activate one of the 3 zones, you can spend more time activating the other two. Then you can put birds with the with activated in those 2 zones you want to activate, while putting lots of high point birds in the 3rd zone that you don't have to activate.
Okay, so I'm putting 1 egg on my raven, but I want to expend an egg for 2 supplies. So how do I go about doing
Correct.
that?
So you do the expend
zones
afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
so Shell, the
happens
order
next.
is eggs first, then powers.
Okay, so I put down my eggs.
And then once you go past that, it'll prompt you.
Oh, really? So I have to press the arrow button?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, discard eggs. So then I'll have to choose an egg to discard.
Yep.
I'll probably choose this egg. Poor kingbird. Okay, I'll discard that. And it looks like I gain 2 from the supply, but it looks like my supply is different. It's 1 of each.
You get to pick 2 of anything. So the raven is not picking from the bird feeder, which is part of what makes it so strong.
Wow.
You just get anything. And this does bring us another important point, is ravens are definitely overpowered. And that's why I emphasized the shots that are putting it in the grassland, is because that does make it the most powerful too. The best way to exploit it.
I love ravens.
They're pretty great.
They're so much fun to watch. I remember, I mean, it wasn't a raven, it was a crow, but, you know, they're distantly related. But I remember seeing one in my front yard, and it was burying something under a bunch of leaves, and it was looking about, and it was being shady. And I was going, hey, what's under that leaf pile? So after it leaves, I go out and I uncover the leaf pile, and there was just a small bit of what looked to be chicken meat or something. I don't know if they had found a part of a chicken breast from somewhere, but I was like, okay, I'll put all the leaves back on. And he looked so confused when he came back and uncovered his prize and then made off with it. But because he probably recognized that I had looked through it, but then of course I had left it. So that was just funny.
Don't birds always look a little bit confused when they keep cocking their head back and forth?
Yeah, I think it's really because they can't turn their eyeballs very well, and they tend to be on the sides of their head almost like a prey animal. So yeah, it's interesting.
I suppose my experience with a crow this week is that there is a crow, I think with a hurt wing or something like that, because I kept seeing that particular individual there, just like day in, day out. I'd walk past this one house, and there that crow was just hanging out in the yard. It always looked like they had gotten a pet crow. I did feel a little bad for the crow. It snowed recently here, so it looked like maybe that crow might be in trouble. And I walked by today, and the crow was not there. So I don't know if they felt better or what that situation was. But I had to go look it up because the crow is so big that I thought that must be a raven, right? That must be a raven. It's just enormous. But apparently that's like a common thing to think that it's a crow or is a raven if you see a big enough one. But apparently, like, they just never spend time in cities. Also, there's a couple different ways to tell them apart. So
their beaks primarily, I think, have a different
the one I
shape
looked
to
at
them.
was the tail feathers. I guess they're differently shaped. I don't claim to be an expert, though. I could be wrong, but probably was a crow.
Oh, it looks like it's already prompting me. Click on a bird from any habitat to spend an egg.
Yeah.
So you played a second bird in a zone?
Yeah, so I wonder if I can spend this egg?
Any of them? Yeah.
So how do I repeat the power?
So if you just played the cat bird, that's your turn. You don't get to, like, use its ability.
Oh, I see.
And this is my first gift of the game to y'all.
Which is free eggs, but only if we have this specific type of egg-laying thing.
Do you
Wait,
not?
what? All players lay one
Wander
egg
does
on
not.
any ground. Yeah, egg that you may lay one on additional ground.
Oh, and
Okay,
neither
so
does Shell. Oh, wow.
no ground laying birds.
This is really strong when everyone else doesn't have it. That wasn't my intention at all.
That's okay. I still get a benefit, just not the right one.
Oh, what benefit do you get? Oh, do you have a thing when I lay eggs? Oh, the Barrow's Goldeneye. That's a great card. I thought that card would be only good in like higher numbers of players, but it turns out it's really good even in 2 players. Because if you think about how the Barrow's Goldeneye works, even in a 2-player game, your opponent is probably laying eggs about as often as you would have.
Yeah, my only problem is the Barrow's Goldeneye cannot lay an egg in its own.
Yeah, so you've only got those 3 slots in your woodpecker. Yeah, I mean, this
in
is why
my woodpecker.
It's got like just these 3 spaces along the chest of the bird that just like you put an egg in. It's not like they lay eggs. Eggs are like, they're like augmentations to the bird, like cyborgs.
Shall you have to gain food from the bird feeder?
Yeah, that's what I did.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, Western Meadowlark. Okay, click to start turn. Lay. Oh, okay. Well, I don't have that.
Are both of you next to each other? Can you just like see each other's screen?
No.
No.
We're in different offices. We used to work in the same office, but
the current setup doesn't work for it.
Yeah, as my setup has grown, so too is my desk space requirements.
Wander, I see you're going all in on that forest, though.
That's the only cards I've gotten. That's the only place where I've...
You put the hummingbird in the forest instead of elsewhere, though?
Oh, you can expend eggs elsewhere, from elsewhere, can't you? I assumed they had to be in the same zone.
No.
Honestly, the hummingbird seemed like it would be kind of fine here, because that way I can just kind of get all the food.
It is, yeah. I think it works well for like you aren't producing food when you don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
I will say the one case where it can be useful is, I think getting that second one out of the wetlands, so you're drawing 2 cards, can be helpful. Not to second guess too much on your decisions, but that was the main reason I was asking about it.
Well, I've been doing blind
nothing's
picks
happening.
so far.
Is it someone else's turn right now?
No, it is your turn. You need to do something. Yes.
Oh, well, I can't, for some reason I can't seem to select egg laying.
It's probably because you have something going on that you need to confirm.
What?
I don't know. I can't. Give me a second.
I don't see anything.
I will admit, I have seen this glitch out occasionally, but not very often. Is there a right green arrow on your turn or anything like that? Is it?
No, nowhere.
Is it just time? So it's not currently your turn, as far as you can tell?
As far as, I mean, it's on me right now.
Okay, so when I've seen it glitch out, it at least thought it was on a different person.
What should I try clicking on?
Try activating zone. Let me see if that works.
Yeah,
Sean.
Yeah?
You hid the UI.
Oh, there's something about...
You hid the UI. You're supposed to hit this to say no.
Oh, to Nathan's egg laying thing. Oh, okay. Click birds to lay eggs.
I think it might be that you can't if it's still from mine. So you'll just have to skip that one if it's the one from mine.
Click on one other bird card with a brown power to repeat its power. Okay, discard eggs. Okay, I gained 2 from the supply. What do I want to gain? I don't even know what kind of cards I want to get out.
Well, very quickly take a look at what birds you could draw, and then go from there.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, I like...
But, there could be a new card, though.
True. I think the 2 options are, if your plan for the next turn is to draw birds, you get the food for that bird. If you think you're going to get other stuff, then get a distribution of them, focusing more on bugs and grain than the other foods, because those tend to be more common for birds. Most it's like 50% or so eat bugs or grain.
Okay, I think I'm gonna do this just to have a full bit. Wait, it's asking me to do more of the crow abilities?
Because you can do it twice, right?
Yeah.
The catbird lets you operate it to get 4 food total.
Yeah, I suppose I could do that. Well, I suppose I might want to do... I don't know, maybe this, just to have them.
Yeah, I think if there's one thing I wish from this game is I wish it did a little bit more to make it so that everyone kind of moves simultaneously or some other things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's still good. I think it can go pretty quick, but it does have the issue that if you play a 5-player game in particular, it does take...
I think the biggest issue is just learning, because, like, your turns are much faster.
Yeah, I was reflecting on general things that I wish were a little different. Yeah, I've played this a lot, more than even my friends have. I've played against the computers a lot, because honestly, like, it's not like StarCraft where playing against the computers is like, oh, what's the point after I know how to beat them? Like, here, you're just kind of going for personal records on the game. So I wasn't sure how many rounds you'd want to do, but one of the rounds that I enjoyed with my friends recently was we played one where it was kind of non-competitive. And we didn't go fully in on it, but you can focus on getting birds that give you...
No, I want to draw a card, but I want to see what's new. Do I automatically get the card that's drawn, or do I choose?
So no matter what, when you do a blind draw...
You keep it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So that's the thing you can't undo, too. You can like click the face-up cards and be like, never mind.
Look at that Carolina Wren.
It's okay.
Yes.
I'll say that's a really good first turn play. For you right now, I would say it's pretty iffy just because it's you don't really need the forest with your grassland like that, so probably you want to put high point birds in the forest. If you were
I
really
suppose I'm also
desperate
just
for cards,
thinking of my bonus card and what it needs. So I don't know.
If you think about the bonus cards, oftentimes they're going to give you approximately 2 points per bird at most. So if you think about that Carolina Wren taking 1 turn to draw and then 1 turn to play and giving you 1 point, and then drawing you 2 cards, it's not really strong. I mean, it might be that you look at the other cards and say, none of those are helpful, but...
Huh.
Don't think too hard, Shell.
I want more birds, but...
Then just go for a blind pick.
Actually, how many turns do we have until the next goal is met?
So we've got 2 more actions.
2 more
after
actions.
your current one. So currently you're at 3 actions, including this one. So yeah, I mean, I think drawing birds makes sense. I just wanted to at least inform you that, like, because you have a food engine, you don't have a strong incentive to activate the forest anymore.
Yeah, the other thing is I don't have a lot of birds with a nest. I mean, I do have my raven who could use another egg, and they use a nest. So, like, the Inca dove isn't bad, especially with all of the eggs that it can lay. But
in your situation, I would go for that painted bunting or top deck it. And I think I'd lean towards the top deck even, just because you don't really want to play the painted bunting in your grassland because, well, you might.
Want egg powers there.
You really want egg powers there, but you really want to get something you can put in your wetland right now. That's what you need right now, is things that help you draw cards, and none of these really do that in a sustained fashion.
Yeah, it's just I don't like the idea of going blind.
I think that's a
Especially
balance a lot of us have against.
Yeah.
But I think it's an important part of optimal play is to go off those blind picks, because by the end of each round, you're going to end up with 3 birds that nobody wants, typically. And those will stay the way they are. So you'll have to top deck eventually. I mean, ultimately, if you went for the Carolina Wren, probably you'd just end up top decking with the Carolina Wren instead.
So once again, Shell, don't think too hard.
Okay, well, I had finished my turn. Apparently, I need more resources. Though I suppose I could always substitute things.
You also have obscene amounts of resources compared to...
I know, and I can get more.
I need more resources. No, you're fine.
Yeah, I mean, I would say once somebody has the Raven in the play, if they get it in the first half of the game, it might be hard to beat them.
Oh.
Yeah, so for example, I just drew bird cards and I just top decked both of them, and I think both of them were better than the other cards I could have played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think I want to get this guy out. And it looks like I can choose other things to pay. But yeah, I mean, that looks okay. I'll do that. When played, draw 2 new bonus cards and keep 1. Click on a bird from any habitat to spend an egg. Oh, I have to spend an egg for their special ability?
No, it's when you play birds you're like... when it's the second or more birds, you're always going to have to be spending eggs to play them.
Ah, okay. I see. Oh, that's sad. Are you hearing that?
Oh, we
Just
don't hear.
how it's this particular bird's population, the chestnut-colored longspurs population dropped by 80%.
Yeah, so anything that has a draw 2 bonus cards, keep 1, was or is endangered.
Oh.
Yeah, if you right click, you can actually see the trivia that the narrator says. So I challenged my friends at one point that we should play a round where we just play with only the trivia activated instead of the actual information on the cards.
Oh. Yeah, I turned off the trivia just because it was competing with you guys.
Oh, yeah. It turns out it only tells you the trivia when you haven't played the bird before.
Yeah, I get
so
that,
I've
but
played
it's very
pretty much all of them, so I never hear the trivia.
You can turn it on so you can hear it all the time, but...
Oh, I have not done that, at least.
I mean, I suppose you can also right-click and all of the trivia pops up on the birds.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable way to go.
Let's see, how are we looking on food?
Actually, I'm really curious what this means. A kingfisher can burrow up to 6 feet into a river bank and slopes to shed water. So I guess they like literally make a burrow in the ground that's like 6 feet deep. I guess I can believe that.
Was that the kingfisher?
That's my kingfisher, yeah.
Huh. All right. Time to lay eggs, guys.
Put them all in the grassland so you can narrowly beat me on the goal.
Pretty much. But then what's this
Makes
thing
sense.
where discard food to gain an egg?
It's plausibly a good idea for you. It's not usually a good idea, but for you have so much a good food engine and you're probably short on eggs that it probably is worthwhile.
Well, can I sacrifice 3? Or just I can only sacrifice 1? Looks like it can only sacrifice
Yeah, it
1.
only gives you 1.
Click on a bird to lay the egg. Well, I mean, I suppose it doesn't really matter which one I put it on, right? Probably not.
Probably put it in the grassland.
Well, in the grasslands, but I'm
yes, I don't think
bird.
it matters too much there.
Okay, give it to Raven.
I suppose the main one is if you thought the chestnut-collared longspur, I might lay eggs again at some point, and then you'd want to keep some slots open on that guy to put eggs on. But it's also the 4th goal, so you might also want to have a few in there just to be a head up on that one. But I would probably keep it open.
Now, it's prompting me to activate Raven's power, but I probably don't need to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you think you're going to lose the end of round goal if you activate it a bunch of times, You can probably do it later.
None of my other birds have eggs. Wait, do we have one more turn after this, or is this the last turn?
We have one more. Or no, we're out actually. This is your last one.
Okay,
I was confused because I was
skip.
looking at yours and it says one more there. But if I go back to mine, I can see that this is the last one. But so to beat me, you only need 5. So if you have 5 in the grassland, you don't need to keep more than that.
I suppose I wasn't looking. Because, yeah, currently I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But...
Wanderbot, Wanderbot, oh wander, 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 Wanderbot.
So he chose it looks like he chose a fisher for his. You have a deranged pigeon? For yours?
Deranged pigeon. I want that to be a bird. I wish this was a real card.
I still feel funny for choosing the spoonbill, but I just remember them being one of the birds on the interior. Wait, I didn't get a thing that showed our achievements. Where did that go?
Yeah, I mean, you won. Was that the thing that you wanted to see, is that it showed you?
Yeah, it just it pops up with all of the statistics from the round.
I mean, I saw mine. I don't know why it would have skipped yours.
Yeah, it
might have
mine.
disappeared. Or maybe for some reason it just failed to load.
Okay, that's interesting. I don't understand this scoreboard at the moment, but oh well.
You're right.
Well,
the UI really does not like having more than
too many
X number
cards.
of cards. Yeah.
How many cards do you have, Wander?
I had 6, which really.
Why?
Let's see. I had 6 mainly just because I didn't have anything better to do for a bit.
I see.
Oh, hey. Now, I could actually potentially get that king rail or the hooded merganser.
Yeah, I'd say those are both good.
What is the death power in this habitat? Like, what is that?
Predatory.
Ah.
So some birds have abilities that say, like, it has that symbol, and they're when activated. And they'll give you extra points, I think, universally. Yeah, a lot of them are like, you draw a bird off the top. It doesn't go into your hand, but it checks whether or not their wingspan is below a certain number.
That king rail has an awful lot of eggs.
Yeah, I'd say the king rail is a pretty good play. Getting the bonus cards is usually good.
Oh, I get to choose food from the bird feeder?
Yeah, it's because of my hummingbird. I thought my other 2 birds would trigger first.
So it goes from right to left on the trigger.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it is.
Wait, was my turn skipped?
No, it's waiting for you to pick food from the
Yeah,
hummingbird.
it's still my turn. I'm not done yet.
Okay. No, I already chose my food.
Yeah, so now
Okay.
it's Nathan.
Of course, it's going to get a re-roll back to you, Wander, so...
Yes.
Pretty reasonable sequencing on that still. But yeah, it is funny that sometimes you want to play the birds in a particular order.
Well, that sucks.
Oh, did you not get...
It's all rodents.
It's all rodents?
No.
Oh, and then the other ones are going to only let you...
Yeah.
What a weird bird feeder, this game.
Ultimately, I
Okay.
got kind of what I wanted. I just wanted one more grain.
You're not hurting for food.
No,
but you could have asked for more.
Well, yeah, I could have gotten more had I known that it went right to left as opposed to the reverse, but that's fine.
Yeah.
So because of the way that things are distributed, at most you can have, 15 birds?
Yes. Once you hit 5 birds in a zone, you can play no more in that zone, and that is 15 total. I will say it is hard to hit that cap. You can, and to some respect, it is, I think kind of interesting that they put a limit on it. It's very easy to run out of birds that you want to put in a zone, so sometimes you have to think about that if you're playing a really heavy grassland strategy, you may not really need the forest. You just want to play more zone activate abilities. And you can get excited about something in the draw pile and draw it and realize you're going to play 6 birds at that point, and you can't.
Oh, get a num num. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I think I'll choose this one. Pesticides runoff's hurting these guys. That's terrible. Oh, king rails have declined 91% due to habitat loss and pesticides. That's so sad. Ooh, wow, there's an osprey.
Yep.
Going for it.
I'm surprised they only require 1 fish. They should require 3 fish.
I mean, I think the osprey only requires 1 because it has an activate that gives everyone stuff. You're right that the food requirements are not always like reasonable for the bird itself. Like, I think a good example would be, why is the hummingbird omnivore? You could feed it fish and it's perfectly satisfied. Like, that's not totally realistic, but they made, I think, balancing decisions over realism decisions in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
I will say one other thing is if you click in the bottom left-hand corner below the wetlands, there's a thing that shows you your overall space, so you don't have to look too much between all of them.
Yeah. Huh. Oh, it's one of my favorites, the tufted titmus. That's interesting. Don't know. Could use a little bit more forest. Pay its normal cost, but it won't be really. It wouldn't be really effective with only so many more slots left.
I would say if you're looking for playing stuff for points, that great blue heron is actually pretty good. Because you've only got 1 in the wetland at the moment, and the great blue heron gives you 5 points and also lets you play another wetland bird. It's a pretty good play to go for a great blue heron with another big point bird at this point in the game.
Yeah, that, or I could sacrifice stuff for resources or lay more eggs. But I suppose I have a couple more turns before that's an issue. I suppose I could take it. Oh, a brown pelican. That's interesting.
Yeah, the brown pelican's a pretty good early play. I guess it'd be okay right now because it's still worth 4 points. But only if you didn't have enough food, which I feel like no one in this game is hurting too much for food.
So here's the question. Nathan, are you going to be doing eggs anytime soon, or are you just flush with them?
I might do them at some point. I think definitely before the end of the round, and probably Shell will as well. Are you wondering if you'll be able to activate that Barrow's Golden Eye, or you'll need to lay your own eggs to play birds?
Let's see. Is it okay? It's my turn.
Oh, when another player takes the lay eggs action, this bird gets 1 egg on another with a nest. Oh, interesting.
It's a good bird. It's like probably worth about an average of 13 points per round.
Are we talking the Barrow's Golden Eye or the Hawk?
The Golden Eye.
Okay.
The hawk, I think it's hard to get more than about 5 points off the predatory powers generally. Which is fine. If you got 10 points off that hawk, it'd be a pretty good play.
How can I see our turn track?
Do you mean how many turns are left in the round?
Yeah.
It's the number that's above the number of eggs you have. There's like a blue cube and then a number to the right of it.
I see.
Yeah, so that one confused me initially, but it's as soon as you click an action, that number goes down. So sometimes I would be in the middle of an action and think I had fewer turns than I actually did, or things like that. Also, if you go over to Wanders, it'll show you a different number of actions than your own as soon as he's made one. So.
Now, for the heron's ability, do I have to have another waterfowl in order to
You will.
use it?
Yeah. But you were considering the titmouse, and basically the heron is the equivalent of the titmouse for the water, but worth 3 more points, which is pretty significant.
Yeah, it's just I need to have more forest eggs, which is my issue.
Yeah, I guess that's true if you need more forest slots. I would say winning the end of the round goals is good, but it's not like...
The end all be all.
It's not the end all be all, so I think like...
Hey.
You said A as though you weren't the one who activated that hummingbird.
Well, I activated the hummingbird, but no, there's actually grain and berries.
Oh.
Well, I got a fish.
Said it actually had what you wanted for once instead of giving you lots of rats. If you stop to think about the fact that somebody is stocking their bird feeder with rats and fish, you have to wonder a little bit about who's stocking that bird feeder.
Don't judge Cletus too much. He's just doing what's good for the birds. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He's out in the middle of the woods. Like, neighbors to judge him? Those don't exist. All he's got is the birds.
Got like a great horned owl just like there at the bird feeder.
Yeah?
Wait, play a second bird in your... Oh, but I don't have another. I shouldn't have played it now, should I?
You can still hit back a bunch of times and not play it then.
Back. What's back?
It's the red arrow in the bottom left.
Did I just skip? Oh. Darn it. Yeah, I didn't see the proper way to go backwards, so I think I ended up skipping the special effect.
The red arrow will be in the bottom left.
Bottom left? Okay,
Yep.
It was like a backwards arrow in the bottom right that confused me.
Yeah. I mean...
That's the one bad thing about these is that if you mess up with the UI and stuff, it's like, oh, oops. Well, too bad.
Yeah, that
can't go back and change it.
Players will be forgiving to you on a first game, whereas the UI will be punishing. I am almost tempted to take that brown pelican just because I have a lot of fish, but it won't solve my having too many fish problem.
Okay, let's lay some eggs.
Do you get a lot of geese in Oregon?
Bloop.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I mean we have tons that live near us.
At
just all
least
over
in
the
our
US.
immediate area, we're pretty close to a body of water that attracts a lot of geese, and they will just congregate for long periods of time. It's especially bad during goose migration season, but...
Do geese migrate in Oregon?
Yeah.
They've stopped migrating in a lot of places because, like, they just don't need to.
Yeah.
There's just enough food.
They still migrate. They just don't migrate as much as I think they used to.
Oh, okay. I guess they would migrate south in the fall to avoid a northern winter. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
I think, I don't know.
I wouldn't be able to pin like the months on goose migration season, though.
So it's specifically around October 16th that they're heaviest. They actually like have some signs being like, hey, this is when they're migrating.
Okay.
There's also, I think, an owl migration season that's super close to that too.
It was October, yeah.
Huh.
We've so far missed it, yeah. Shell, what are you doing?
I'm apparently doing a huge mill of stuff. Okay, it's done.
Probably laid eggs and just has like all kinds of...
Well, there was a lot of egg-laying stuff going on and having to sacrifice eggs for resources and...
Yeah, it is. It does get complicated. I think both of you can actually take this gift this time, right? Yeah. Of course, if both Shell and I pick the same rounds to lay eggs, then that ends up not being as useful as if we staggered rounds for Wander.
See, I just wanted to get the titmus so I could have more eggs on my forest.
I mean, do you have another forest card you would have wanted to play with it?
Nah, unfortunately. So it wouldn't have worked.
I mean, I'd say it's like...
Egg laid. Oh.
It's okay.
So that means I have to lay an egg here? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I can't possibly beat Nathan's eggs for the forest thing. Because I think that's what we were supposed to do. Round 3, just like eggs in forest. I suppose I could still get second place, though.
I would say that the end of round goals aren't such a huge point swing in a 3-player game. And you've already picked up the first 2. So you should be feeling all right about where you're at.
Mm-hmm. Wait, draw cards equal to the number of players, and each player selects one of those cards. Oh, I see. That's what the oyster catcher is about. Gain 3 from the supply. Yeah, I don't know if I want to purchase any more birds at the moment. I don't know what to do, aside from maybe lay more eggs.
I mean, if you lay more eggs, you'll force me to lay eggs again in order to keep the end of round goal. So, as a counterplay, that could be worthwhile. I would say I can't see what your hand or if you have birds in your hand are, but probably you want to play as many as possible that have lots of points in the next few rounds. So,
no birdies at the moment. That's why I need to buy birdies.
Yeah, so I'd say that, you could force me to lay eggs again, or you could get more birds, because probably that'll be one of the things. I mean, of course, you do have lots of egg slots, so you could consider just laying eggs a bunch of times and just filling up all of those slots. You usually want about 4 birds to do that, but I suppose you've already got lots of food, so if your last 5 rounds were just laying eggs. But you'll run out of slots before you fill that, so... Yeah, you probably want to play one more bird, I think. And then if you can get a bird in the grassland and just lay eggs for the last few rounds.
Okay, got a number of resources.
Okay. Not that it's gonna matter. Let's see.
I think I gave everyone an option to get food, so it might require you to prompt that in case you're not expecting it's your turn.
Wait.
Okay,
Oh.
interesting.
So
So
yeah.
this is about ground layers now? Huh, interesting. Oh, what's a star?
Those are just count for anything. So if you played the burrowing owl, that would count as a ground layer for this goal, and it would also count for any goals you have related to those.
Roll all dice not in the bird feeder for any mice, gain 1 mice. I see. Harrier. So those are the predatory birds, by the looks of
Yeah,
it.
that's one example. Yeah, I guess those are 2 examples, aren't they? I would say the power on the left I've generally found to be much stronger than the burrowing owls. That the draw cards and check if it's below a number. There are a lot of birds with low wingspan, so it's a pretty good chance to activate. Whereas the burrowing owl, yeah, they're
It looks
one
like
in
I can
6
choose
on it.
2 cards. Really?
Yeah.
Huh. But do
This
I
is
want
why it's
the...
good to get out 2 birds in the wetlands, because then you get essentially double the activating on it.
So I can draw 2 bonus cards and keep 1, or do something new. I'll do something new.
So we've only got 5 turns in the round 2. So do think about, you don't need more food or more birds than you can use in those rounds.
Yeah.
Man, that last round, like the switch on that last round was kind of miserable because I went first all of round 3 and now I go last. So there's like a solid 4 turns before I get to do anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it certainly changes the gameplay perception a little bit. I don't know how they could change it though, because I think having the same person go first every round would be too strong of an advantage.
Yeah.
And I guess, but it's not like there's that many counterplay options in the game. And when it goes faster, you kind of notice it less.
Yeah. I think I just got a bad strategy. Specking for the bird feeder was kind of nice, but looking at Shell's method of accruing resources is just like, well, I picked the wrong strat.
The trick is Shell got a raven. And
yeah,
like I feel like that's the biggest flaw to this game is just like one player having a raven or a killdeer or a Franklin's gull just like kind of upends the game a little bit.
Oh, look, there's a trumpeter swan. It's a lot of points, but it means nothing. Oh, except it is a ground bird, so that's actually interesting.
I'm gonna pay for a bird mostly with the wrong food. This is so funny. I don't think I've ever done such a bad trade for a bird. It's a 3-cost bird, and I'm only going to use one of the correct food for it, so it's going to be 5 food.
I'm just waiting for my turn. Actually, what is this one? That's interesting. So when do I actually activate the Northern Harrier's ability? Because it's a predatory bird.
It's whenever you lay eggs. I mean, it's basically the same as your raven and catbird in that sense.
No! Someone took the swan!
Honk.
Wander, was it you?
It was Wander.
Because I wanted it for the points, the omnivorous nature of it, and because it had ground-laying eggs.
It's a pretty strong last play, so I'm not too surprised Wander went for it.
But now it begs the question of what I want to put down. I don't know.
You got birds? We have 3 turns left, so you don't have much time to...
I do have a bird. Here you go. Everyone has to draw a card now, apparently.
Yeah, I think playing a bird and then laying eggs in your last 2 rounds. Actually, I mean, now that you've got the Northern Harrier there and 4 birds in the grassland, every turn that you play has to be worth more than about 4.5 points.
Oh wait, so I activate the Spotted Sandpiper's ability later. And that's with the eggs, maybe. I see.
So bad. 5 food for a bird. It's only worth 4 points, but it is worth playing.
What would that one be then? Is it the wren or the... No, not the Clark's greb.
So you said the expansion to this, the physical expansion to this, nerfed the grasslands a bit?
It buffed the other 2. Mostly it buffed playing birds. I think it changed the end of round goals so that almost all of, like as it goes, almost all of the end of round goals are egg related. This one is a little bit odd because a lot of, they're all egg or bird related. So I think it changed that balance, but it also gave some additional bonuses for just wanting to play lots of birds, which is a little bit counter to how a good grassland strategy just involves getting out 5 birds in the grassland and then like hitting it a bunch of times until you run out of eggs and then playing 1 bird to increase that number.
Click on another bird card with a brown power to repeat its power. Oh gosh, what would it be? Because I can look at another card from the deck and put the bird behind the osprey.
Yeah, you should be... At this point, you have plenty of food. You should definitely be doubling the Northern Harrier's power when you're laying eggs.
Stellar J, but no, the Stellar J is much... Oh, wait, it is under 70... Yeah, okay. Gain... All right, that works. But we do have Stellar's J around here. They're really pretty.
Oh.
But we very rarely see them.
It is funny how the game has made me more cognizant of birds.
Now, the crow is calling for some reason. Does it want to be activated as well? I suppose it does. Oh, it wants me to get more resources, I see. I'll get one of those and those.
How did you get all the resources to afford these birds? Oh, they're dirt cheap. You've just been discount birding us this entire time. I see how it is.
Are you talking about me or Shell?
Yeah, you. Because as far as I can tell, none of your
birds.
abilities are like extremely, none of your abilities are extremely egg friendly, or not egg friendly, like food friendly.
No, yeah, that was actually a major drawback for me early, was getting enough food. Yeah, it was a pretty important moment where I played that Northern Flicker and was able to get 3 bugs out of it. That was yeah, that was really digging me out of a ditch I was in. I wasn't playing too seriously this game, but I also wasn't trying to lose. And I definitely have not played an extremely fierce game on that, but that's been fine too. Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to play lots of cheap birds early. I think they become a little bit of a liability later because they've made all of your other birds cost more eggs to play, but I don't think I've played that many cheap birds, though. Most of them are like...
Yeah, they're just cheaper than the birds I've been playing.
Yeah, I guess if you've been going lots of 3-pointers. I think...
Yeah.
I'm really mixed on it, actually. Like, in the forest, you've got that rose-breasted grosbeak. To me, that feels like a good early play. But every time I've played that bird early, I've not had a really great score.
The red-bellied woodpecker was worth its weight, kind of.
That one's so good. That one's absolutely a great early play.
Now,
but the
what should I do with my last turn? Because
play eggs. Unless you can play a really expensive bird.
No.
Like, you've got about 5 points on laying eggs, so you have to play a bird that's worth, I guess, really 7 points.
Does it matter where I lay the eggs? I suppose?
Other than the end of round goal or your goal cards.
Okay, I'll lay eggs. And that's eggs on the like ground nesters.
Yeah.
Which I suppose I only have so many ground nesters.
Yeah, but probably fill it up.
Yeah, I think I filled up my ground nesters.
Okay.
Oh well. Don't really know what other birdies I need to have it on. I'll just make sure I have at least 1 egg on each. Yeah. Do that. Oh. Alright. Merganser. It has much too large a wingspan. That's unfortunate. I have to discard it. Click on another... Oh.
Activate the carrier. Get more points.
Yeah, I suppose I could do that. Harrier.
Certainly don't need the food.
Well, I got a bush tit. I see. Of course, that one works. And then what? The crow.
Skip the rest.
Skip the crow.
You definitely don't want to discard eggs to get food on the last round because you don't need the food and the eggs are worth points.
Mm-hmm. Sandpipers are funny. The way they scuttle up and down beaches. What other ones have I seen?
I may be hard to beat on this particular round goal.
That's fine.
Resigned yourself to
because you have a lot of ground nesters.
I have a lot of star nests in particular too.
Wait, do the stars count for any?
They count for any, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you've carried half the rounds and you tied for the third one, Shell, so you've actually won the end of round goals overall.
And then I suppose it's just a matter of what our extra bonus point goals have.
I don't think there's any way to see what your opponent's points are. I think you can see your own, but it hides it when you're on a different person's screen. And I think they did that deliberately to make it a little bit less competitive.
Oh wait, that wasn't it? I thought we were done.
I think we are, but I think
are they just
Shell
giving us
probably
a last...
has something off that activated, or maybe I gave her...
right, because of her... I played a bird to the forest.
I don't know if I can lay another egg.
If you can't, you can't.
Yeah, I don't think I can.
Michelle, I think you just need to gain food from the bird feeder.
I think it might be my power that she's sitting on. I'm not sure.
Oh. It's one or the other.
Go.
I forget exactly how it does the sequencing in this.
I definitely wish
Okay.
it was more obtrusive of like, hey, you need to do this thing before you can do anything.
Oh, I guess I've gotten very familiar with that. I will say that that hasn't been an annoyance for me as the game has progressed. Shell wins.
Just barely? I don't know. I haven't gotten the end yet.
Oh,
It
if you
looks
play
like-
it
again,
skips.
Shell. Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta do a long drum roll with it, right?
By the pricking of my
So-
thumb, something what? That was just an achievement. So it looks
It's,
like Wander had
Macbeth
the
quote.
most birds, and then
Yeah.
it looks like I think you and I tied for bonus card
Mhm.
stuff, and then end of round goals. Yeah, I just squeaked by a little bit because of those early ones.
Yeah, I didn't.
You had
I
the most
was really
eggs,
unlucky with my bonus
Nathan.
cards and end of round goals.
You did all right.
Food on cards. Oh yeah, because my nuthatch and the harrier were able to get food. I suppose the prey animals. Tucked
I think
cards. No,
the
that
tucked
was
cards are the harrier. Yeah, the
Tucked
food on
cards
cards
are
would be a
harrier.
nuthatch.
okay. Interesting.
That was neat. Very slow.
It did go a little slow learning. I mean, certainly playing the tutorial makes it take a lot of time. You know, it gets a
Yeah.
little bit more streamlined as you play it more.
It's
Yeah.
asking, do you want to save this game to preserve archive? I don't know what that
Eh.
means.